Welcome to The Practical Intuitive, where each Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern, where host Robin Fritz explores mind, body, and spirit for the real world. Because we are all intuitives and healers, and we must all learn to love ourselves and live that love every day. Robin is a trained and certified intuitive and spiritual consultant and hypnotherapist with an international practice based in Seattle, Washington. As the Practical Intuitive, she covers personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice. It's all here. Readings, healings, and funny, warm, thought-provoking conversations. It's Robin Fritz, the Practical Intuitive, helping you mastermind body and spirit for the real world. No ifs, ands, buts, or BS ever.
Welcome to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's Robin Fritz, and we are live in Seattle, Washington, in what we're calling a Pineapple Express today, which means warm air is coming from Hawaii and bringing way more rain than we really need or want. But that being the case, it is winter, and I actually like winter, and I like rain, and I like knowing that the planet is alive and doing well. So thank you for joining us today. And our topic is, do animals have souls? Do we have souls? What are souls? And what does that mean in the world? And wow, you are welcome to call in with your thoughts on the subject, or to get a quick intuitive reading on an issue that concerns you. And I would love to have you on and have you chat. So call in to 202-570-7057. Or if you are shy and don't want to come on live, email me at my website, robin@robinfritz.com. That's ROBYNFRITZ.com. And I frequently have people do that. Email me or tag me on Facebook at the Practical Intuitive Robin M. Fritz, and I will bring up your questions at a different time. But today, again, we are going to talk about, do animals have souls? What are souls? What do they do in the world? Why don't we think about them more often? All kinds of things to have to do with souls. Obviously, not a one-show subject, but we'll get into it here today. So again, welcome. My name is Robin Fritz. I do intuitive and spiritual consulting and past life regression out of my office in Seattle, Washington, which means personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life and between life regression, soul clearing, energy healing, spiritual awakenings. And the one constant among all those things is really the soul. Our businesses have souls, our homes have souls, we do, our animals do, so we'll talk about what those are. But first, every week I like people to be able to connect with my crystal Fallon, the citrine Lemurian quartz. Fallon is a rare power crystal. He's a healer and a truth bringer, and a pretty amazing being. He is a crystal, his crystalline being. That's his soul, and that's his body, the crystal. And in this hour, you will be able to connect to him the way your energy, or your intuition works most strongly. So you may see pictures, hear him chat with you, feel his energy, or simply know that you're connected to him. So if you just sit back in your chair, please, again, don't do this if you're driving. Sit back in your chair, or if you're walking around the room, just take a deep breath and just imagine that you're breathing in all healthy, positive energy straight to your gut. And as you exhale, just release what doesn't serve you. Let it just breathe out. And now if you take your attention to the top of your head, here's mind, body, and spirit just coming together more intently for us to share in this hour. And as you breathe down your body from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, just let those blockages go, the cares of the day go, all your worries and concerns, and just let this be your time to be with this community and to participate in whatever it is that you need today to grow your soul. Starting at the top of your head, breathe down your face, your shoulders, your chest, your hips, your knees, and your feet. The top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And as you do that, just feel those cares going away. Feel your body responding to that burst of energy. And now imagine Fallon as this goldish light rotating outside your body in the form of a crystal ball. And as that form moves up on the outside of your body, you can welcome that energy straight into your heart, and with each beat of your heart, you can feel it flooding your body with this healthy, positive energy, just really filling your whole body with love. So breathing up from your feet, past your knees, your hips, your chest, your shoulders, your throat, your communication chakra, your third eye, and your crown chakra. And again, as I tell people every week, your crown chakra tends to be wide open in connection with Fallon. And so that's fine. We'll close it down at the end of the hour. And just relax in this space. This is an opportunity for you to connect mind, body, and spirit. And that brings us, back to the topic that I want to cover today. And honestly, talking about souls and what they are and what they do and what we think they're up to, what we're up to in the world. It's not a subject that years ago I would have ever thought I would get into. It just seems kind of the thing that you do if you go to church on Sunday or meet in some sort of a spiritual group and think about it, that we're out there, we're living our lives, we're busy, we're buying groceries, we're cooking, we're feeding ourselves, our animals, we're cleaning house, we're going to work, we're going to bed. We may have a little bit of time for pure entertainment. When do we have time to think about our souls? Well, right now, for one, and I'm actually going to challenge you at the end of the show to do a little exercise in thinking about your soul every day. And what it might be up to and thinking about. So, it's this subject, souls, what souls are. Do we have a soul? Is it real? Is it conscious? Is it located somewhere in our body? Does it affect other beings? Are humans the only ones who have souls? These are questions that have gone back and forth in really the intellectual community, not just the metaphysical or spiritual community, but intellectually over generations, over hundreds of years in different cultures, from the Greek cultures to the current times, to cultures that didn't write things down, at least not in the way that we saw them, and even our indigenous cultures around the world today that, don't participate in the kind of civilization that we have, like radio, where we can talk to each other across the planet. So the question is, with all of that history behind us, of all of these people, some of whom the Christian church has made into saints, holy people for their contributions to thought, to healing, to well-being, to holiness, so to speak. I think they actually made the idea of souls really too complicated and really not as everyday, day-to-day life as the concept can be for us, and to really motivate us to not just be our best, but to look at how we can solve the world's problems. Yeah, the world's problems, by looking at it in a different way, by looking at it not just as material bodies, but as bodies that have an operating system that we're calling a soul. And of course, in ancient history, we've called it by many different things. So if you're talking about souls, do we have souls? Do humans have souls? Seems to be a lot of consensus on that. Yeah, humans have souls, but nothing else does. Or at least not the level of souls that we think about when we think about human souls. And that has always puzzled me. And I will admit that even when I was a little girl, my family thought I was the strangest thing they ever saw. And my dad, I work with my dad as a medium. He's been dead since June 30th, 1994, and he still thinks I'm the weirdest person he ever knew. He knows better because we work with each other every single day, either chatting about life or working with the dead and our clients who come to speak with the dead. Or my dad being preoccupied with my very rambunctious animal family in the afterlife and back here with me. But what is someone that we talk to in the afterlife? What are spirits? Aren't they souls? So and what are animals? What kind of souls do they have? So here's what I see. I see the people who look at animals and say animals belong to a group soul, or tulips belong to a tulip group soul, or trees belong to a tree group soul, as being really biased in favor of the notion that humans are the apex of civilization, that we are at the top of the food chain spiritually as well as physically and emotionally, and therefore our souls are better, are more advanced, and everything else has a group soul because they're not as advanced and they can't be. And I go by what I experience, and I know I've said this in earlier shows. I became handicapped many years ago. I struggled through illness and disability, and a lot of that period of time I was basically a hermit here in the middle of a major city on the West Coast, and that's when I started finding out about the world. I mean, the world doesn't really exist, that there are other things that are out there that are conscious, and I learned from them, and that's the beginning of my passion about souls. So when we come back, we'll talk more about souls, what they mean to us. Questions, comments, 202-570-7057.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Change and growth are part of natural life and also part of your spiritual life. Everyone needs support and guidance, especially during life passages. Upgrade yourself with the OMTimes Experts program. With OMTimes Experts, you have access to the best intuitive coaches, spiritual teachers, counselors, astrologists, and oracles. Our team was carefully selected so you can trust. Find out more at experts.omtimes.com.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living, a chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
Shopping for yourself or loved ones? Check out the best rock shop around, Earthlight Rocks and Gems in Kirkland, Washington. Whether you're looking for metaphysical support or just love nature's art, Earthlight has it all. Raw rocks, crystals, tumbled stones of all kinds, carvings, cabs, fossils, tumblers, rare minerals in all price ranges, and books. They also have jewelry, including custom pieces and beads to make your own. Open 7 days a week, the Earthlight store has been around since 1988 and is run by Kim and Todd Valines. Find them online at earthlightgems.com, at Etsy at earthlightgems.etsy.com, or on Facebook at Earthlight Rocks and Gems. Have a question? Email Kim at the store, earthlightgems.com. And just for OMTimes listeners, receive 10% off orders over $50 at their Etsy account with coupon code EarthlightGems. That's earthlightgems.etsy.com or the store at earthlightgems.com.
I am Fidel Nsombo. I was born in a city called Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom, everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America, and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's Robin Fritz. We're live in Seattle, Washington. And we're talking about souls. Who has souls? Animals, humans, whatever. So what is a soul? Well, over history and different various religious and spiritual traditions, there are different ideas about that. But, it kind of comes down to the aspect of our bodies that isn't physical in one sense. So some will say a soul is the moral aspect of a being, others the emotional or spiritual aspect, others consciousness. Now, I'm a certified past life regression specialist, and that means I have a license as a hypnotherapist to work in this field. And they refer to our past lives and how to tap our past lives as using your subconsciousness. Okay, that's fine. I don't really care what we call a soul. I care about what it is, and how it operates and how that connects with us. So in the context of mind, body, and spirit, we have the body, we have the intellect, and we have the spiritual aspect. And there are some things that, we just don't have a handle on physically. We can't reach out and grab the soul. So there's some people that think, well, the soul is located in your brain or the soul is located in your heart. And I'm like, why does it have to be restricted to a certain body part? So my beliefs come from my experience. I have studied a lot, different traditions, philosophies, mindsets, ethology, metaphysics, theology, history, archaeology, and I have gone out in the world and just experienced what was out there. And so my operating philosophy, the way I've met other beings, is to be open, to be skeptical, and to be curious. And I say be open because a lot of the beings that I talk to are very disappointed because humans just don't pay any attention to them. It's like, well, if you didn't think they were there or they had consciousness or they could connect with us or even had anything to say, why would we? And that's the attitude of most humans. They're astonished to think that their home actually has an idea of how to live with it, that your business has a soul, and working with that soul of your business can help you prosper in ways that you haven't tapped into yet. And everything around us has a soul. So be open to what is out there and what is actually there versus what other people tell you. Even me, go out and explore for yourself what's out there. You can sit down and have a conversation with a bush, whatever. Try it. But also be skeptical, because there are lots of things out there that like to play games with us, that like to trick us, that aren't necessarily healthy or positive to be around. So if you invite a conversation, if that's how your intuition runs, or to experience what other beings are feeling, or to see them actually, or just simply to know that they're there, be skeptical about what presents itself to you, because it's very easy and very quick to find out what does not have good intention to be with you. And those are the ones that I just say, okay, get out of here. I don't have time for this. But also curiosity. And I think curiosity is an amazing thing that humans have used forever, but not enough. So we've created cities, we've created great works of literature, great art, and as an example, next week I'm really excited to see the musical Hamilton. Why? Because at first I thought, well, why would anybody be interested in Alexander Hamilton? And then I realized the creative genius behind the man who created it, and I want to see how that genius displays itself on stage. So fascinating. What our souls are capable of and what they can do and how that combines with our bodies. So recently, someone close to me said he didn't believe in my work. He was an evangelical Christian and he did not believe in spirits. And we were talking about my deceased father. And I thought, if you're Christian, don't you believe in souls? And aren't souls spirits? You know, in my experience as a medium, when I talk with other beings, humans and others who are dead, they remember their lives. They remember what their bodies were doing. And what is that? What is that memory? And I believe that memory is their soul. It's their consciousness that translates into memories over lifetimes. When I do past life regressions and actually get people into the hypnosis is just relaxation, really, because you're fully awake and fully aware of what's going on around you. But when you create that sacred space, that container for them to relax and tap into their soul will show them previous lifetimes that are relevant to the question at hand. It's fascinating. It's amazing. And people walk away understanding that this isn't the only life they're experiencing. This isn't the last opportunity for them to grow and learn, that in fact their bodies are finite, their bodies are going to end, but the soul goes on forever. And that's really fascinating, and that's the subject of all of history's looking at souls. So if souls are immortal and all souls are equal, then what really bugs me is why people talk about group souls. Again, we create religions and mindsets around the idea that humans are at the top of the food chain and everything revolves around us. But isn't that really arrogance? Arrogance to the point perhaps of moral failure, especially when people tap into the idea that, of course, an animal must be part of a group soul, just like daisies and tulips and trees. That is not my experience. And as a rational, analytical, skeptical person who became who I am today, someone who's passionate about souls, someone who can talk to souls in different bodies, I feel like we've connected somehow, that there's so much out there that we can explore by looking at other beings as souls and asking them what their experience is, that there's so much that we can together contribute to the world. So the question is, does that resonate with you? The idea that souls are equal regardless. Does that resonate with you? Does that make sense to you? What I know from my experience, from watching my animals come back time and time again, from knowing that my animals and I belong to the same soul family, and we've had times where we have been human and animal and different things, and gosh, things I don't even want to know about, because like I said before, I don't want to know that I've ever been a snake. But beyond that, I don't have any problems. Souls do whatever they want regardless of human dogma. So any religion out there can say this is what souls are supposed to do, but you know what? The souls are going to go ahead and do whatever the heck they want. And that's awesome. So I want to share a couple stories today to talk about how I've seen souls operating, and to get you thinking about how you can connect with non-humans out there in their bodies and in their souls. You know, find out what they're up to. And actually, I wasn't going to talk about this, but it reminds me of the early period of time when I was talking with Mount St. Helens. And I have covered this subject in other shows, both that hurricanes are alive, that volcanoes are alive, that they have souls and they have jobs to do like everything else. So here's the thing. If everything that exists in front of you, the painting on your wall, your animals, the tree outside your window, your car, right, your home, everything has a soul. Everything is conscious, has a life, has a job to do, a responsibility to do it, a choice about doing it, and opinions, right? Everything that I've seen and chatted with is like that. And I didn't go looking for it. When I first started talking to Mount St. Helens, she was getting ready to erupt in 2004. People were all excited, and I just said, hey, would you like to have a conversation? And she's like, oh, I'm really sick to my stomach is kind of the answer to that. But over periods of time, as we talked about responsibility, about, I wasn't telling her what to do. I was just saying, what about this? What about that? Because she's getting ready to erupt. And I said, okay, well, yeah, that will help grow crops and trees and everything else, but it'll also kill anything in its path, the ash fall. She was horrified. And so we talked about it. And in a sense, we talked and shared and grew together this concept of, responsibility in the world, which we all have. A lot of humans, say, okay, it's the government's job or that's somebody else's job or whatever. But really growing our souls is our job. Growing our bodies and our souls, keeping our bodies healthy so our soul can have this amazing experience in the body that it's chosen to do its work in. That's its job. But cooperating with other life and coming together and creating this healthier planet, our conscious evolving planet is, counting on us to do our jobs to support it as well as each other. So what I have learned is everything has a soul, and there aren't more souls or lesser souls or greater souls or lesser souls. They're all equal. They're just doing their job. So a tulip, soul in a tulip body is just learning how to be a tulip. And that's maybe important to its soul growth in ways we don't understand. So after the break, some really cool stories that'll get you thinking about souls and what they might be doing in the world. Hang on, call in 202-570-7057.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted 15, 14,
13.
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's Robin Fritz. We're in Seattle, Washington, and we're talking about who has a soul. Do animals have souls? Well, I sure know my animals have souls, and they're not any different than any other animal out there. They chose those bodies for specific reasons. One of them was to come back and be with me, as they've specifically said, and humans just live longer lives than most animals, at least the dogs and cats that most of us are living with. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing that they signed up for. Now, a lot of people are out there putting the burden of their own healing on their animals. And I've talked about this last week with Tim Link, animal communicator and pet expert, about, the misconceptions of living with animals. They aren't our teachers and gurus. We can learn from them, but they are, and they can learn from us, but they are souls, and they've chosen animal bodies to do their work in. And when they choose animal companion bodies, they tend to put our needs ahead of theirs. So we have to be very careful about asking them to be with us. We need to be with them more on an equal footing, as opposed to putting them on this pedestal of being healers and gurus for us. We learn a lot from them. That doesn't mean we should suck up their energy in terms of demanding that they be healers. That may be a burden on their souls as well as their bodies. But in my experience of talking with other beings, here's the thing. I've discovered that being human is often a handicap for a soul. And that's because we are full of preconceptions and limitations just by being human. And we think we're really advanced because we created cities and we created governments and we have all this literature and so on. Yeah, but what does an orca whale need? Well, our local resident orca population only needs salmon. That's it. They need salmon and each other because they live in pods. That's all they need, and they live as long as we do. So, we create what we need. We create systems that support our bodies. But humans have all these ideas in their heads about how things should go, and those preconceptions keep us from really taking advantage of the opportunity to just rapidly kickstart our soul progress in this particular lifetime. Doesn't mean we don't grow our souls, because we do. I hope I've grown mine over my lifetime, but, I still have things that I'm working on, but then we all do, right? Isn't that what we're here for? To grow things, to learn about things, to be self-reliant, to be self-conscious, to be self-confident, to grow towards self-love. And that's where our soul is always going, hey, love me, love yourself. That's what you're here for. Animals, though, we've talked about that. Do animals have souls? My animals have individual souls. Now, what was interesting is that two of them at the same time, Murphy and Alki, my first two Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, were the same soul in two different bodies at the same time in my house. And I had somebody else point this out to me at first, because I'm like, what? Did I really care? But it was fascinating to watch that soul develop in different ways within the parameters of that particular body and what that body was learning. Murphy, has a strong empath, learning that she should have left her crap in her previous lifetime in the between life area, whereas Alki came back, had the same kind of crap and just left it in the afterlife and came back. And he did it again when he came back as Ollie. He left a very traumatic lifetime and came back and is growing his soul in a new way. And I'm looking at him the other night going like, really, you're 2.5 years old and you're still acting up when company comes, Have that soul step in a little bit and tell your body to grow up a little bit. If you would like that, I would appreciate it. But there are other beings out there that also have souls. And it has been my privilege to talk with them, to find out what they're doing. And here's the process that I use, and you might want to, see if it works for you, is to just go for a walk and just invite whatever wants to chat with you to come and chat. Now, first of all, of course, you have to have a really strong spirit guide around you, because there are all kinds of nasty things out there that once you start using your intuition and your healing abilities, and that's what my work is all about, helping everyone else to tap their intuition and healing abilities, helping us grow all that together. There are all kinds of nasty things that show up and get in our way. So you don't want any of that crap. You want other beings who are curious, who want to connect with us, to connect with us. And really, they all do. I mean, we are the only ones out there who aren't connecting with the rest of the world because we don't even know it exists. The rest of the world is really a lot smarter in their souls and their bodies than humans are. Again, our human preconceptions. But some years ago, excuse me, as I was experimenting, talking with various different things out there, I became aware that there was an oil spill off an island in Alaska. So I thought, oh, I am going to go talk with this oil spill. So I did. I didn't know I was astral traveling until I was actually there, hovering above Alaska. And then I panicked and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I'm plummeting down towards the ocean, really. And you need some lessons in this kind of stuff. Don't go off and do stupid things like I do. Learn from my mistakes, people. But as I was falling, I yelled, Mount St. Helens, help me, because we'd been working together. And immediately she grabbed me and halted the flow. And we're up there in the air and we're kind of standing side by side and we're looking down at this oil spill. And it's looking up at us, okay? I'm talking about an oil spill. And we're talking with its soul and with its physical oil body. And it's very, very sad. Because it's spilled, right? It'd been shipped from somewhere else. The ship had run aground and it was spilling all this oil all over the waters in the island. It was literally going to be wasted. The thing that we took it out of the ground for was never going to happen for it. And it felt in chatting with us that its purpose had basically been destroyed. And it was grieving the loss of its life and the inability to fulfill its soul purpose. Now, oil is really old. We're talking thousands of years old, right? Because it's compressed over animal matter over eons. And we dug it up and we had a particular reason for it, and I guess it was fine with it, and now it wasn't even going to be used for that. And we're standing there, we're looking at it, and it's looking up at us. And it looks at Mount St. Helens and it goes, mountain. Oh, erupting mountain. It knew it was a volcano. Mount St. Helens says, yes, my name is Mount St. Helens and I'm a volcano and I'm currently erupting. It goes, oh, okay. And it looks at me and it goes, human. And I go, yes, my name is Robin. And then it looks off to my right and it goes, what is that? And that's when I realized my car, whose name is M for Matrix, was standing right next to me in Alaska. And so there were three of us in a row. And I didn't even have to look when I realized it was M. I said, that's a Toyota. His name is M. And, some elements of the different kinds of oil out there are used in M to keep them running. And it goes like, oh, okay. So there was this interesting convergence of all different beings having this conversation together, all because I wanted to go investigate an oil spill and didn't have sense enough to know that when I say things like that, I actually astral travel there. But it was a fascinating, meeting between not just bodies and souls. And the three of us, Mount St. Helens being the oldest of me and my car, and Mount St. Helens, has 10,000 years of history behind it as a mountain growing. And also as the spiritual center of the Pacific Northwest, so, there's a lot more going on out there than we know. And that is her process of growing her soul by being this volcano. And we were looking down at this oil spill and it was crying, it was grieving. And Mount St. Helens turned to me and she said, what are we going to do about this? I don't even understand this. And I said, are you telling me that in 10,000 years of growing yourself as a mountain, you haven't squeezed out one drop of oil? Because that's what this is, that you don't know what that is by talking with other mountains or other land. And she goes, oh, I see what you're saying. Because, I suppose volcanoes can actually make oil, but the whole process of creating oil is compression of plant and animal matter. And my car was pretty silent on that subject, although he's one of my spiritual guides, so he has his own ideas about what he's doing. But, here's this oil spill. Now, has anyone ever talked about oil having a soul? And yet it was very clear that it did, as well as this physical body. And it was grieving. And it said, I'm never going to be used for what they took me for. And my life is wasted. And Mount St. Helens, my car and I were looking at each other, and we're feeling pretty bad too. And I said, I'm sorry. These accidents happen. Things happen. They don't, always go the way that we think they should go. And we get interrupted in our life cycle. And Mount St. Helens said, what can we do about this? And I said, there's only one thing we can do. We can love it. We could just give it love, soul to soul, body to body. We're in our bodies. We have our souls. We can connect to this soul, and we can offer it love and support and witness its death. That was all we could do. But that episode has stayed with me over the years because, we get caught up in our daily lives and we don't stop to think about the operating system, And that's what I think of souls as, the operating system of our bodies. Like software is the operating system of a computer. Our souls are our operating systems. And, we can choose to love. We can choose to love ourselves first, which is the most important thing. But if we can reach out and love a non-human in the same way that we could love those around us, how much better would the world be? And it comes from two things. One, acknowledging that there are many different bodies in the world, even ones we cannot see, like our dead, or, really you can't see a hurricane. You can see its effects, but you can't see the actual body of it. Those physical bodies and the souls that are in those bodies having that experience of being an oil slick, of being a mountain, of being a car. And it's fascinating, and it's deeply moving, and it helps us grow our souls. Well, we'll be back in a minute.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it, and you can hear it repeatedly without feeling anything. But when we introduce a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural or inborn response from you. Save the food, because 40% of all food in the US never gets eaten. Save the food. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. We're talking about who has souls and who doesn't. So at this point, if you're on board with me, you're going to recognize that everything out there has a soul. Some of those lifetimes are really short. Think about a fly or even a tulip. But, when I talk about the things that I've experienced, you'd think that I, know a lot. And the fact is, I'm always messing up. And let me tell you another story about a soul that will make you stop and think and probably want to go out in the woods and meet a tree. I was on vacation with my 2 dogs, Murphy and Alki, and my friend in Portland. And we were driving along the Oregon coast. And I love the Oregon coast. I basically grew up there. We went a lot on vacation there. It's one reason why I live near the ocean in Seattle. And we were driving and we pulled over into just a little pull-out area because I love trees. In particular, I like Douglas fir trees, which are here in the Pacific Northwest, and were actually named after a Scotsman named Douglas, right? Douglas fir trees. They're huge, and the trees on the Oregon coast are huge. Some of them, those that haven't been cut. Well, this particular tree was gigantic, and I walked off the little way area, left everybody in the car, and just walked a little bit on the trail, and I was attracted to this tree, and I went up to it. It was huge, and I have in my bedroom a picture of my dogs and I sitting on this tree together, and it's huge. There's no way even 5 people could get their arms around it together. But here's the thing. I walked up to the tree, and I was so fascinated with it that I stood there and I leaned forward, and I was going to just lean against the tree, putting my palms on the tree. And I got a foot away from the tree, and I was literally stopped. And if you were looking, which my friend was from the car, and wondering what the heck just happened, you would have seen me leaning over at an angle, suspended in the air, a foot from the tree, not touching anything. It looked like I was just leaning against nothing. And I immediately realized what I'd done wrong. And it took me a second to, pull myself back, because the energy field that was holding me away from the tree wasn't really helping me any. It was kind of like, hey, you transgressed. You put your hands where you weren't supposed to. And I knew it. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I had no right to touch you without asking you your permission. I know better than that. And the tree is like, yes, you do. What were you thinking? And I said, I was not thinking. Can we talk about being a tree? And so we had this quick, brief conversation about really the years. I mean, we're talking about years, 200-300 years this tree had been standing there that was that huge. And its observations of the world and its connection to the beach. And I was looking to move to the Oregon coast, to leave Seattle and go to the Oregon coast, which I've always loved. And the tree is saying, we would like you to come here, but you can't. And I'm like, well, I didn't mean to offend you by touching you. It goes, no, that isn't why. You're not healthy enough. This is a very harsh climate, and you would spend all your energy trying to survive. And you need to do other things in the world. You need the energy to do other things in the world, so you can't come live here. I was kind of crushed, but that I was like, what the heck are you talking about? And I came home and I did some research, and even though I grew up going to the Oregon coast, I did not know that they got 70 to 90 inches of rain a year. I mean, I know it's rainy, but that rainy, when we get 38 in Seattle, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I thinking? I know about the wind, I know about the storms, and even if you're a block off the beach, you don't get all of the wind, but you still get the rain. And here's a tree that had literally pushed me away from it, not let me touch it, then giving me a life lesson on where I should be living. And then, of course, it did, after I apologized, it says, now you can reach out and touch me. And I did. And I said, oh, I love how the bark feels. And it must be really cool to, have that thick skin, to protect you from the elements. So it's just a quick story of continuing to have respect for nature around us, for all of the beings out there, and to realize that there's so much that we can learn from other beings. There are bodies and there are souls, and the souls are there to animate the body, if you will, to bring that experience from those previous lifetimes into that particular body and help it grow to be its best body. Like that big, huge Douglas fir was this giant mentor, so to speak, in a tree body telling me, I'm sorry, you really should come and move here to the Oregon coast. It's not going to be a healthy environment for you. And welcoming me and my dogs to just sit with it and experience it and have it experience us, just an exchange of friendship. And so I hope that you take away from today the idea that we're human, but we're not superior. We're actually really taking on a huge challenge by being souls in human bodies, because we have so many prejudices and we have so little knowledge of what is really going on in the world. And there's so much to be awed at, to be amazed by, to learn from. As I've talked about in previous shows, I learned in 10 minutes more than scientists learned in 30 years from just chatting with a hurricane. I mean, there is so much that we can learn. And if we can learn this thing from other beings, from our animal families, not that they're teachers or healers, but that they're souls who have chosen an animal body to grow themselves in that experience and to be with us while they're doing it and creating families. And you'll have a deeper respect for how sacred that connection is within our families, and how we need to be looking at ourselves in more sacred terms, in more ways of, wow, I had a bad day today at work, but I'm a soul and I'm out there experiencing it. So I'd like to challenge you to try this experiment in the next week. Email me, tag me on Facebook at the Practical Intuitive Robin M. Fritz, or call in the show and tell me what your experience is. But to actually get up in the morning and say, and this is an intuitive thing, so make it really quick. Don't think about it. Thinking about it makes your intuition just go wobbly. Go, what is it my soul wants me to know today? Beyond your physical body, beyond taking care of your family and yourself and getting to work and getting home from work and getting that paycheck put in the bank and food on the table and all of that. What does my soul want me to learn today? And maybe it's something as simple as looking at somebody else and recognizing that they're soul. Or that wonderful quotation from one of Marianne Williamson's book is looking at someone else, even looking at their back, and saying, the divine in me greets the divine in you. And seeing if that doesn't make a difference in your life and in the world. See if it doesn't contribute to getting along better, to growing not just our souls, but that cooperative intention that we created when we first came here to this planet, to create a civilization of equals among all different beings. And how much more that can happen in the world if we just reach out to the other beings around us and say, hello, my name is whatever your name is. What would you like to talk about today? Would you like to talk with me? What can we share? How can I learn from you? And, what can we learn together? And you will be amazed at how fascinating it is. And that's what I think of as a soul. It's our operating system. It's our way of growing ourselves lifetime after lifetime, experience after experience. And I hope becoming better as a result of it. I hope I'm better than I was 20 years ago, but I don't know. We'll find out after I die and, go visit my dad at his way station for dead things on the other side and then move on. So I'd like to end today by thanking you for joining me. Next week, we're going to be joined by Atherton. Oh, I can't say her name. Atherton. Isn't that a cool name? Atherton Drenth of Canada, and her book, The Intuitive Dance on Managing Our Energy, which is a huge issue for me. Something that I teach a day-long workshop. I'm putting up here on webinars soon. She'll be joining us coming up later in the month. An author will be talking about her experience of creating home here in Seattle by helping to manage salmon runs, bringing their salmon runs back into the city, not just outside the city. And you're welcome to join me next Monday, February 5th at 5 Pacific time at the Learn It Live platform, where we will be talking with Kim Valines of Earthlight Rocks and Gems about crystals for healing in advance of Valentine's Day, but again, supporting our souls through learning to love ourselves, which is the most important job every soul has, regardless of the body it's in. And so as we close today, I want you to, again, ask your soul every morning what it needs for you to know. And as you go to bed at night, ask yourself, what is it that I learned today from my soul? And see what that does for you over the coming week. I think you're going to be surprised at how amazing you are and how amazing you can continue to be as you work at this exercise of really acknowledging your soul. Hands on your heart, cross your hands over your heart and breathe into the palms of your hands. And as you do that, just breathe in and just imagine this healing energy going into the palms of your hands. And as you blow into the palms of your hands, you feel that air in your palms. Imagine that as this energy. You're not channeling it from anywhere, you're just tapping into it. And then hold your palms outward, letting that energy go where it will. It's sentient like we are. It has a job to do. And you may ask it to support you and all those you love, whatever. Cross your hands back on your heart and breathe into your palms. And then put your palms in front of your face. Feel that air breathing into your palms. And then cross it back on your heart. This grounds the energy back into you. It helps close that crown chakra that's wide open in this hour with a crystal Fallon. And get you ready to go back into your day. It is a privilege for me to join you every week here. I hope you will continue to join us. Please email me questions, comments, requests for readings, and even things that you'd like to talk about on the show. And I'd be happy to do that. Thank you for joining us today. Take care. Ask your soul what it's up to. See what it has to say. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.